Another day, another LEGO Harry Potter review. Hey guys, it's Holly, and today we'll be having a look at the brand new 2021 LEGO Harry Potter Hogsmeade Village, which is set 76388 and retails for $80 US or 140 Australian and has 851 pieces. So this is actually the first time ever that we've gotten Hogsmeade. I can't believe it. You know, it's been 20 years. This is one of the anniversary sets, and it's the first time we've gotten Hogsmeade. Kind of feels like a bit of a robbery, and this was one of the sets actually that I was most excited for, although to be completely honest, after building everything, I feel like it's just not as exciting as the rest of them, which I really didn't think that I was going to say. In saying that though, I am still extremely excited to have Hogsmeade, so thank you so much to LEGO and LAN for sending me this early, because this set is actually going to release on June 1st, so thank you! But nevertheless, I'm just glad we got it in general, so let's go have a look at Hogsmeade. So here's the entirety of Hogsmeade, and overall I just wish it was a bigger set. I really like the look of the 3 broomsticks. Honeydukes, however, is a lot more underwhelming. Overall, I think it's a solid set, but I don't think it's one of the best sets. But firstly, before we really get into why, let's have a look at the minifigures. Here's Harry, and unfortunately, but probably to not many people's surprise, he looks exactly the same almost as all of his other Prisoner of Azkaban variants, besides the color of his pants. This time they decided to go for black, which, look, I mean, the torso makes sense, it's from the movie. However, I feel like in this outfit, Harry would freeze personally in the snow. I wish they could have at least given him like the scarf accessory. I feel like that would have just made it so much better and really suit the set. But otherwise, mostly it's just the same Harry we've seen before, and there's his alternate angry face. Next up, we have Dean Thomas, and he looks a lot more appropriately dressed for the middle of winter, and this is the first time he's popped up since the original Harry Potter CMF series, and I really like the torso print here. I think it looks great. He's also got a brand new face print, which at first reminded me a lot of Ned's from the Spider-Man kind of accessory pack. However, it is different, and he does have a double-sided face. I mean, both versions are of him smiling, but at least this one kind of blends in with his CMF variant a bit more, and it's nice to have some variation with him. Up next, we have Professor McGonagall, who comes in these brand new robes, which I think look gorgeous, and she's got the same face print as well from the Hogwarts Moments books earlier this year, and this time, for the first time, she actually comes with a hairpiece rather than the hat, which definitely suits this scene a lot better, although it's interesting though that they did go for this color rather than grey, since her eyebrows are grey. I found that kind of interesting, as I did end up buying myself this piece in grey to use for Professor McGonagall, but as you can see, she's got an angry alternate face and some really nice back printing. She doesn't have any back skirt printing, however, this time around, but in this case, I don't think it's completely necessary, as this outfit, you could barely see it in the films anyway, since the whole view of this scene was pretty much through Harry's invisibility cloak. Moving on over to Madame Rose Murta, who's probably the next most well-known character out of this, because at least she's actually kind of mentioned by name in the films, and her accessory actually comes with this little hammer, which I think is quite good considering you see her hammering down some signs on the outside of the 3 Broomsticks Tavern, and she's got this brand new recoloring of that extremely curly hairpiece which you've seen in the roller coaster as well as the Ghostbusters fire station, and her face print is actually the same one used for Mantis and Bellatrix, and usually in these types of cases I would be quite mad at the reuse of a face like this. However, I think for someone like Madame Rose Murta, this face makes sense. I think it looks really good. It's smart reuse part usage, and I guess it just kind of highlights how badly this face really did suit Bellatrix, because it looks so much better here, even though the angry face I feel like doesn't really suit, even though she is mad about all the Dementors entering her pub every single night. But she's got a really nice torso print as well. The only thing I would kind of say is I wish she came with a skirt piece in dark brown or black. I feel like it's a bit more accurate than legs, since she did have quite a long skirt in this part of the Prisoner of Azkaban. Next up, we have Mrs. Flume, who might also look very familiar, and that is because she also has a reused face print, except this time it's the same headpiece as Helga Hufflepuff and Molly Weasley, and the same deal with Madame Rose Murta. Usually I'd be mad, but it works in this case. She's kind of more of a side character. It's not like she's a main character. I think this just also suits kind of her personality. I mean, you barely see her in the film. She's really just in the background as Harry walks through Honeydukes, but I think it works. And like Madame Rose Murta, it shows you how much that face just really didn't match Molly Weasley, which is a shame to see these pieces being reused, but at least like this time around, it's a side character that kind of just owns a shop, so it's not too big a deal in my eyes. She has got a really nice torso print, which I think is quite cute, and I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily accurate since she's only in the film for such like a split second, but it's interesting with this torso, since it is being used for a female, that they don't typically have kind of those waistline lines that you typically see. Like, this isn't much of a jumper. Yes, she's got a cardigan on, but unlike Madame Rosemerta, she's not wearing some sort of jacket. And lastly, we have Mr. Flume, and it's nice to get quite a few unknown kind of just random side characters in this set, and I think he looks really cute. And just like Mrs. Flume, he's really not in the movie that much, but from what I've seen as well, he is still pretty accurate with his purple beanie and his torso print, which I love the detail of. I honestly wouldn't be surprised though if that pops up again in the future. And he's got a really sweet kind of caring face print, which once again, I feel like could happen and pop up in the future, but I love his alternate face. Like, you can really tell that he is freezing cold right now. I just think overall, it's such a great figure and such a good like minifigure of a side character at that. Just like the remainder of the 20th anniversary sets, this one does come with a golden figure, and this time it is a golden Ron. And this golden Ron, like the rest of them, reuses all of his pieces pretty much. However, he has a slightly different face print actually. Like, his mouth's slightly adjusted, his eyes kind of look a tiny bit different. It'll be interesting to see if they reuse this print in the future for Ron. I'm not too sure why they kind of changed it. I mean, I guess it's kind of the same thing why they kind of changed that emblem on the torso there, but I thought that was kind of interesting to note. And just like the rest of them as well, there is that 20 years logo on the back. Here are the chocolate frog cards I got in this set, and as you can see, I have a duplicate, and this kind of brings me to a big problem that I have with the chocolate frog cards, which I did end up making a video on. If you kind of want me to explain it a bit more, you can click on that. And that is that when you get to the bigger sets, all of the chocolate frog cards come in different bags, which makes it entirely possible, like I have with this set, to get a duplicate in the same set. And when you're spending upwards of $80 on this shouldn't be happening. Potentially, I could get 4 of the same, and that's just not alright. And unfortunately, in my case as well, the other 2 were duplicates as well, but at least they were different to the other ones in this set. But also, this provides a massive amount of uncertainty for someone who just maybe wants to buy the Chamber of Secrets, or maybe wants to buy Hogsmeade, because it's not necessarily guaranteed that you'll get 6 or 4 different cards. You could get duplicates in the same set, which, yeah, I'm not a massive fan of. In this set, you get 3 little side builds. So starting off with, we're going to have a look at the wanted poster for Sirius Black. Now, I really like the way this looks. I love the clumps of snow at the bottom. I like how they've done it on kind of a window pane piece, which is the same type of window that we saw in the night bus, that being that kind of 3x3, or maybe that's 4 bricks type of thing. And it does have a sticker on either side of the panel. And at first, in the instructions, I didn't actually realize that you were supposed to do that. So there's just something to note as you kind of go through that. It looks slightly different, at least on mine. I think there's a slight variation in his mouth, and I think that purely comes down to the print. As you can see, one looks a bit more closed and the other kind of looks angrier and open, and I'm not entirely sure if it's supposed to be like that. It didn't look like that in the instructions, but part of me also thinks that they've just done that to make it look like, okay, yeah, the portrait is actually kind of moving around, like the picture is alive type of thing. Next up is this really basic lamp post, and there's really not a lot to say about this one, although it does kind of have one of those pillars and a stud in there just to give it a tiny bit more height. It's got some nice snow on the top, but that's about it. And then lastly, there's this little bench, which once again has the kind of piles of snow up on the sides. I really like how they've included these side builds. It makes it look a bit more lively. So the first building though in this set is Honeydukes, and I honestly feel like this is the more kind of well-known, popular one out of the 2 of them. It's the well-known little sweet shop, and there's a lot of fun things in it, especially since, you know, Harry kind of walks through that and there's a whole moment showing the interior throughout The Prisoner of Azkaban. And to me, when I kind of heard this set was going to be announced, I kind of pictured this to be more similar, I guess, to kind of Hogsmeade in the theme parks. And to me, I feel like the roof design is just, it's a tiny bit plain. I wish it could have been a tiny bit different. I'm also just don't know about kind of the dark orange for Honeydukes specifically. I feel like it's slightly too too dark. Another thing that I would have liked to see is pink bricks being used at the top rather than having pink stickers on green bricks. I think it would have just looked a bit more cleaner, but also the pink would be able to pop a lot more, which is something that I just think does not happen here. In saying that though, I love the use of these round windows on the front, as well as kind of having those Diagon Alley sticker pieces popping up again. I love that, and they were pretty easy to apply as well. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I love the use of the 1x1 tiles on the front just to give it a bit more texture. Same with the masonry bricks, and even having those sticker on the giant panel pieces just to make this whole thing seem more alive. My favorite part by far though all has to be the snow. I wish there was more of it. I don't quite understand why it all sits at the bottom rather than kind of on the top. Like, I wish there was a bit up here or even on the chimneys just to make it feel a bit more wintry and a bit more alive. I guess that's what I'm asking from Honeydukes. But on the inside you can see that it's quite empty and underwhelming, specifically at the top level. But before we have a look at that, let's zoom in on the bottom here, which I think is really cute. There's a lot of really nice stickered pieces of kind of all of the sweets on the back wall, which look really nice behind the thing. You have the brand new printed acid pop piece and some popcorn there, a lot of kind of candies, a really neat looking cash register with the Honeyduke sticker at the bottom. Then at the back you've got this giant pink, what I guess is supposed to be fairy floss type of thing, some cookies, some cherries. If I kind of take this box out of the middle, you can see that there's kind of a chocolate fountain. To me, it kind of feels half finished. You've got a bunch of sparkly and transparent pieces at the bottom, another stickered panel with a bunch of sweets on that back wall, some lollipops this time, as well as another acid pop piece and some popcorn. I love that on the floor there's studs though, like if you can actually attach minifigures to it. I think that was really neat and really well done, and I'm glad they did end up doing that. There's also a little bowl on the cash register, which I guess is kind of one of those like take one after you check out type of things. But in the center as well, there is this removable kind of glass box, as you see in the movie, with a bunch of kind of toys and candies and things like that. Part of me wishes that these were window pieces so that there wasn't a giant gap through the middle, but I also see why they wouldn't do that, because the kind of stickered area would be a lot smaller on a window pane rather than these glass panels. But that's something to think about. But once it's kind of in there, like, it still looks kind of lively, but I feel like there could have been more. Like, that chocolate fountain kind of looks a bit half finished, like I said. I wish that there was kind of more things stacked up rather than just cheaping out and using those stickered panels, because to me, Honeydukes is supposed to be lively and fun and colorful, and I just don't completely get that from this set. Moving on up though to the top, and this is where it gets a lot worse. I just feel like this is so bare and empty, and I'm not a huge fan. There's a tiny fireplace on the right hand side with a little kind of saucepan up there, and this yellow Honeydukes box which has that Honeydukes logo on it again on both sides, and on the inside there's nothing in there, and at the back you just have a red bucket, and that's pretty much it. Oh, I guess there's another fireplace on the other side, but there's not really a lot of space. It doesn't really look like there's much being stored in here, and I mean, besides kind of those transparent pieces at the top, but otherwise it just feels really empty and incomplete to me, which is such a shame. Like, I really expected just more from this set. On the other hand, we have the 3 broomsticks, which to me is a much better build. It's a lot more complete. I think it looks a lot more interesting because you've got more windows and more snow. I mean, the same problem though with Honeydukes though, all of the snow kind of sticks to the bottom. I wish there could have been some at the top, some on these cones here, some on the fireplaces again, but this to me just looks so much more appealing, both from the outside as well as the inside. It's got the same amount of textures using the masonry bricks and panel pieces with stickers there. You've got some masonry bricks at the bottom. You've got the texture of the windows, the signs, the lamp posts. Like, the entire thing just feels a bit more complete, and I think part of that does come down to the design of the 3 broomsticks, but I also think this amount of kind of care and planning could have been put into Honeydukes as well. But when you kind of turn it around, as you can see, it's a lot more spacious and a lot more lively. Admittedly, there's not as much kind of items going on, but there's a lot more room for you to move around and play with, especially on the top level. It's a lot more exciting. So starting on the left-hand side, there once again is a really nice stickered piece at the back, which kind of gives you some of that dark brown paneling detail, as well as some pumpkin pumpkin juice illustration, some more cups, a goblet, a picture of a broomstick all on a shelf, which I think looks really nice and makes kind of the serving area of the bar a bit more exciting. On the top, you have the reuse of those butterbeer pieces from the CMF, this time with a white stud on the top, kind of meant to be that butterbeer foam that everyone's kind of all known for. There's also a green bottle and a little like kind of like flame candle type of thing. I say like, that's essentially what it is. On the bottom there is this little rug build, which I think looks really cute. On the back of the door as well, I think it's such a really neat inclusion, and that is a sticker of the shrunken heads. As you'll kind of remember from the movie, the shrunken heads yell at Ron and Hermione, telling them that there are no underage wizards allowed in, so I thought that was a really neat detail, and I think I missed it actually the first time I saw photos of this set. On the right hand side, you have another stickered panel piece with some more broom artworks as well as a butterbeer sign, and there's a really nice bench top for some of the characters to sit, so you can actually have Dean and Harry there sharing a croissant, because apparently wizards in the Harry Potter sets only seem to eat croissants and chicken legs. There's another goblet and yet another butterbeer piece, so it's good that the two of them can kind of hold on to them and drink, and especially if you do have the CMFs, that being Ron and Hermione from series 2, you've then got 4 glasses to kind of play around with and fill up this room, which I really like them using that piece. I'm glad to see it back. On the back wall as well, there is this stickered tile here with an illustration of a guy with a really cool mustache. I will give it to him. Moving up to the top level, and this is just so much more exciting than the Honeydukes top level. In this building's defense, there actually was a scene that took place on this level, so there was probably a lot more reference images and things for the designers to go off, and I just love how this space is very open. There's things to move around in, there's a lot of details all built in. I think it's really well done. One of my favorite aspects, in fact, is actually the way that the fireplace is built into the wall, and then you've got a tiny little shelf there before the window. I love that build area. But on the left hand side, you'll see that there is a stickered artwork on the wall there, which kind of has an illustration of the entirety of Hogsmeade at night. It's really dark and kind of hard to see. I wish they made this a bit brighter using some kind of lighter colors, maybe didn't go for a nighttime look, but either way, that's a really nice stickered print there. It's kind of a little bench, a little kind of chest of drawers type of thing with a candle on the top. You have a little step stool there. What I presume to be holly is kind of up there next to a goblet, and then on the right hand side you have this really nicely built green armchair with another stickered print behind. This time it's actually of the 3 broomsticks. Unlike Honeydukes though, when you get to the very top, this is all just empty space, but to me it doesn't really matter because you have this actual proper filled out top level here. And when you put the two buildings side by side, you can really see that there was a lot more time, effort, and care, I feel like, that was put into the 3 broomsticks. To me, it's miles ahead of Honeydukes, and probably one of the main reasons I feel like a lot of people would buy this set, besides the fact that this is the first time we've ever gotten a Honeydukes. I think that's another big aspect to it too. I just wish that Honeydukes was a bit more built up and a bit more filled out, or even that this set was just slightly bigger in general so that they could properly like build these buildings up the way I feel like the 3 broomsticks is. So that's Hogsmeade. I really like the 3 broomsticks. I think that is the best part of this set, and the little side builds as well are really good. The figure selection is all right. It's nothing to rave about. I think the figures that are in this set look great, but I think in terms of who they included, while it makes sense, it also just feels kind of odd. I really wish Harry at least came with a scarf because he looks like he would freeze out here in the snow, and I just wish as well that Honeydukes, there was a bit more to it. I think the bottom level of it looks great, and then as you kind of get up to the roof and on the inside, it just feels very bare for what it should be. But let me know your thoughts on this set in the comments below, and do you plan on picking this up? And if you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel down below for a lot more Harry Potter content over the next few days. And until then, I'll see you later.